welcome. You heard me chuckling because I'm here with my delightful guest and we had technical issues. And this time it was not Joy Ruffin's fault. But I'm so glad for those of you who stuck around and who are still here, because in point of fact, what we have for you today and every day, it's always exciting and it's always interesting because this is about leading ladies, leaving legacies, living legacies. So now, my name is Joy Ruffin, and I'm honored to see and to have you here with us tonight. Now, I'm not sure if it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day, but wherever you are, sending your way the very, very best, always. This show was designed and geared for leading ladies who are all about empowering others. So we're talking about female trailblazers, agents of change, heart-centered leaders, cosmic healers, and purpose-driven women. Ladies who are more about empowering, inspiring, and motivating others. And that's who we have with us tonight. Lois McGuire, she has a phenomenal background, and I'd just like to share a little bit of that with you. She has 35 years of teaching and leadership experience in her background of education. She began her career as a 4th and 5th grade teacher. And before I take this any further, because for those of you who waited and stayed tuned in, I want you to hear her story because it is an interesting and fascinating story. And her book, which we're going to be talking about tonight, it's all about parenting and community. And that's what we're about here. So let me bring Lois in so you can say hello. Hello, Lois, and welcome. You are a trooper, you are. Thank you for hanging in there and holding on.
Well, I'm delighted to be here, Joy, and I'm glad that the technical problems were corrected and we're able to continue. I'm delighted.
So am I, because listen, let me tell you, this Be Live live streaming platform is fantastic. None parallels, none beats. Yet it's a baby still, and every now and then there are issues, but we just rise above them. And I love your energy and your style because you're a trooper. You said, okay, we'll just get it right. And we did. So I applaud you for that. Lois, I mentioned about your background a wee bit in the beginning, and I shared with them the type of women that we're looking for, of which you are one. Now, what I'd like for you to do, in your words, is share with us a little bit about your background, how you came to do what you're doing, why you love what you're doing, and how you came to write the book that we're going to talk about a wee bit later. So the show is yours. Take it away.
Thank you. I am delighted. It's a pleasure to be here, Joy, and to speak before your group of women and maybe some men who tune into your program, which would be
yes.
I started as a 4th and 5th grade teacher, as you stated, and I ended up kind of going up the ranks of administration and ultimately retired as a superintendent of schools in a rural K through 12 district. I was a teacher and an assistant superintendent in a large urban district, so it was a little bit of culture shock. Throughout my career, and I loved every bit of my career. I loved teaching. I loved when I was a coordinator of activities. I loved when I was an assistant superintendent for personnel. I wrote competitive grants, and I then became a superintendent. Yes, of course, in education, academics is king, and everyone strives to teach academics. However, throughout my career, I always thought that character values, character principles were the most important thing that we can instill in children. I have a saying, yes, it's important to be an A student, but I would much rather you were an A person, because the majority of people who are successful in later life know how to get along with others. So throughout my career, I always assured that character traits, character values were instilled. When we had parent in-service training, we always made sure that character values were part of that training. Because yes, you're born with certain instincts, but character traits like honesty, kindness, courtesy, respect for others, respecting others' space, making proper choices, self-reflection, which is really my favorite of them all. They're skills and they can be taught.
I love that, Lois, because the topic that we're starting with tonight is instilling character values in our children and all of those things that you mentioned. I don't know if it's because of technology and the two-parent working household. It used to be just maybe the dad went out predominantly and mom stayed home. Now it's both parents more or less out working. And the truth be told, and we both know this as women, that there's just so much time, and a lot of what ought to be instilled and given to children to ponder on and utilize is put on the back burner. So this instilling character values in our children, and your book, which I love the title, How Not to Be That Kid, is so vital and so instrumental at this point in time in our lives. Yes. How did you, I heard about your education and how you started in urban neighborhoods and all of that. When did you decide to write this book? Because this book is a biggie in my mind.
Well, when I was getting ready to retire, I started to think about writing a children's book, a character education book. And to tell you the truth, I couldn't wrap my head around it. What am I going to call it? What are the scenes going to be like? What's it going to be about? And to tell you the truth, it took years before I finally started. And I'll tell you how it started. The family was out to dinner, and one of the little ones, who was drinking milk with a straw, started playing with the milk. And he was flipping the milk out of the straw at the restaurant table, as kids will do. And his older cousin turned to him and said, "Don't be that kid." And it was like a light bulb went off in my head. And when we went home that evening, I said to my husband, I have the title for the book, and I know that it's going to be called Don't Be That Kid. Now, then I said, well, I need to have a specific place. So, of course, I chose Don't Be That Kid at School, because my point of reference is school, and it made sense to me.
Absolutely.
I sat down and I started writing every character trait that I thought was important to instill in youngsters. And then I wrote scenes to go around the character traits. So every scene in this book denotes a different character trait. Honesty, respecting others' space, loyalty. I think loyalty is very important.
Oh, yes.
Including others, respecting elders. I'm very big on respecting elders. They have so much to give and so much information to impart. Being positive. A lot of children today aren't that positive, and that's a skill that you can teach how to be positive. So every single scene denotes a different character trait. I'm going to...
Yes, go ahead, do show that. Yes.
School, and every single scene it talks about a different character trait. And then I was driving in the car one day, and it was always on my mind, and I was stopped at a light, and all of a sudden it dawned on me, don't be that kid. The characters should be little goats, because a kid is a little goat. So I made the characters little goats because of the kid. And that just came to me driving in the car. It's amazing how you reach conclusions when things... And then a friend said to me, why don't you write a resource guide to go with the book? So what I did was this. I wrote a resource guide for teachers and for engaged parents. And I wrote activities, and I separated them into K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. So every single scene has activities that go with the scene. So this is not a book that you read and put away. If your child misbehaves, after you've read the book, take the book out, turn to the scene, reread that scene to your child. And this is what I'd like parents and educators to do. What is the kid doing?
Yes.
What is everyone else doing?
Yes.
What should you be doing? So you're constantly reinforcing proper behavior.
Yes, yes, yes. Well, you know, for me, it's about blending a lot of the old with the new because a lot of the old is just passé. It's gone. Parenting and upbringing, etiquette, manners, decorum, as I know it, and most likely you, it's much of it is gone. Yet there is a part of it which has to do with etiquette, manners, a sense of regard and respect for self that we still have to keep instilled in our youth. And how do we do that? Well, your book is a great example of how you can do that. One of the thoughts that I had, Lois, and I didn't mention this to you, but I love the title, Don't Be That Kid in School. But I think that Don't Be That Kid could be a book that could be written for adults too.
I can't believe you said that.
You see a lot of adults who they didn't get the proper upbringing. They don't know a lot of things that are elementary and basic to you and I. And these are things that you can't just count as old school when it comes to manners and etiquette. Putting your feet up on a chair in a public, when you're in a public place, little things like that kids don't know because they weren't taught. You have to get it from your parents. So I think that's important.
That you say that. I'm laughing because I just finished Don't Be That Kid at Home, the second book. And our little kid or little goat misbehaves at home, and similar lessons in that book we talk about. There's a scene on good sportsmanship, which is so important. And so many people have said to me, you need to write a Don't Be That Kid adult version. And yes. I am thinking about it. If you don't learn these skills, if you don't learn proper values as a child, you just don't have them. Yeah, they have to be taught.
No, and you don't. And if you are hanging around in a circle that's not going to elevate or guide you in higher levels or positions, then you're not going to learn. And the truth is, what I found in my volunteering with these young girls, they want to know. They just want it to be given and delivered to them in a way that's packed full of love and I care about you. And when you do that, you're okay. Let me ask you, of all the traits, the characteristics, the skills that young parents, young kids need to learn, I heard you say loyalty is important, but in this book that you've written and working with young kids, what is the most difficult one or three that you found that they find it hard to embrace?
Well, I think it's important for everyone to realize that parenting, in my opinion, is more difficult today than it's ever been before. Absolutely. And being a teacher is more difficult today than it has ever been before. Mm-hmm. There are so many outside obstacles that children face today that children in previous generations never did. Plus, for whatever reason, there isn't a lot of time in the day where parents have to sit down and talk to their children about character, I think one of the most important things that any parent and any teacher can do is explain to children what's expected of them. We forget that all most people want to know is, what do you want from me? What do you expect from me? How can I get an A? How can I be successful in life? So for me, teachers have to be very clear on what their expectations are of their classroom and individual students, and parents need to be very clear. Let me give you a perfect example.
Yes.
If you're going to Publix, if you're going to the supermarket,
mm-hmm.
Before I would go to the supermarket, I would say to my child, we're going to the supermarket. And I'd be very specific in saying, and this is my expectation. This is what I expect from you in the supermarket. I'm going to put you in the car. We're going to drive around the aisles. I am going to let you pick out your favorite cereal, whatever's appropriate for your child. And this is what you can expect from me. Because sometimes as adults, we forget that children want to know what they can expect from us in any situation. So I think it's a two-way street. And I think if we spent more time explaining to children, this is what we expect from you in this upcoming situation, we might have less tantrums, less upset children in situations because they really didn't know what was going to happen and what you wanted them to do. So I think that's really important. And in the resource guide, I start off with establishing expectations.
I think that's beyond fantastic. And yet, why do you think today, I know the reasons are numerous, but so many parents today, young parents especially, they're exhausted. They don't seem to have or make the time to do what you just said, to share with their kids. Why do you think that is? I mean, I might have spoke to that, but why are young parents doing more to instill in their kids a sense of priority when it comes to manners and etiquette? The kids don't know.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of reasons. I think we have more two-parent working families today more than ever.
Yes.
And you work all day, your child's been in daycare or your child's been at school, and you're exhausted when you come home. And your child has homework to do. And academics are important. And by the time you finish with homework and you want them to take a shower, take a bath, and get them to bed, you're exhausted. Your major goal is to get them to bed. I think, also, today, more than ever, many parents don't think their children need downtime. So they are busy scurrying their children off to soccer and ballet and to dance and to gymnastics and to jujitsu. You name it, their child is soccer, their child is in it. So think about it. Children are exhausted today, and they get cranky when they're exhausted. No, they're no different than us. We get cranky when we're exhausted. So instead of saying, we're going to have some downtime, and I'm going to read you a book quietly, not before you go to bed necessarily, but at another time, where we can talk about the book and we can discuss what's in the book. I think that would be terrific if that could happen in an ideal world.
Well, the key is an ideal world. And let's face it, as much as you and I, we had our issues here tonight, you were a trooper, technology has taken away a lot of that connecting. I saw just the other day, in order to keep a child from running and bouncing all around and getting into trouble and knocking and chatting with people, the parents just gave him an iPad. He went right away, grabbed that iPad and went and sat down, and that was his connecting. So it's a double edge in many ways.
Well, think about this for a second. How many parents and parents who are listening to this, your children get in the car. Instead of having a conversation when you're driving somewhere, how was your day? Let's talk about where we're going. Let's talk about, I don't care, a topic that's important to you and your family.
Yes.
The children sit in the back seat of the car. They go on their iPad. There is absolutely no conversation. It's an easy way out. It's interesting. Part of the resource guide in Don't Be That Kid at School, people can see this. It's a family crest. And I say to parents, as a family, sit down and talk about what your family values are. What is important to your family? Do we believe in honesty as a family? Do we believe in hard work as a family? Do we believe in loyalty as a family? Think about that. A great time to start that conversation is Thanksgiving. I think that's a great time because usually people sit down and they're talking about what they're thankful for. My suggestion is expand it and start talking about what do we value as a family, and then as a family, complete the crest and make a family crest of what we believe in.
I think that's great.
Conversation.
I think it's beyond great, because my next question to you, and I think you answered it, I'll still ask you, because that's a really good suggestion. I hope the people who are tuning in and will be tuning in after the fact, if they're watching a replay, will take that to heart, because one of the questions that I had is, what is a great tip or tool that you can give to parents today to be able to connect with their kids and allow their kids not to be that kid in school and to be on the up and up, whatever their terminology might be today. But the tip that you just gave is a great one. You have another? Because that one is too.
I think the most important thing is to take the time to listen.
Yes.
Because we're busy. A mother comes home from work and she has to prepare dinner. And maybe your child has something important to tell you. And I think it's more important to sit down and have that conversation with your child than make the dinner. You'll eat 10 minutes later. You'll eat a half an hour later. Nothing's going to happen. But that piece of information, and also, it's one thing to have a conversation with your child. It's a whole nother thing to actually hear what your child is telling you and not to make judgments. Stop yourself from making a judgment and instead hear their thoughts. And instead of telling them a solution, why don't you ask them, how do you think you might be able to solve that problem? Bring it back to them. Let them become problem solvers. It's easy for us. We're adults. We know what the answer is. Ask them what the answer is, and then go through the thought process to solve a problem. I think that would be very meaningful for parents to do.
There's no doubt about that. It would be even beyond very meaningful, because one of the sayings, and I think we all say it, I've heard it from everyone at different times. Maya Angelou, who was such a great force here on our planet with us for quite a while, she said that everyone wants to be seen, heard, and valued.
Yes.
And kids more so than we as adults. And as you become an adult, you realize how important that is. And we find our own way for those of us who want to elevate and rise. Some people don't, or they're afraid to. I don't know the answer for everyone. But I think what you just said about parents sitting, single or dual household, and listening, and then asking the child for their input is important. But yet, one of the things I find, Lois, and please speak to me about this, we must never forget that we are the adults. Yes, you listen, you heed, you take to heart, but you are the adult. The decision until they become an adult is yours. Now, how do you respond to something like that?
No question about it, but very often children will reach the conclusion without you telling them. Now, if they don't, they need you to help them reach the conclusion. But very often, our children know the answers. They know what the right thing to do is. They really do. And all you need to do is confirm it. You know, it's the old story. It can be very frustrating to be a parent. It can be very frustrating to be a teacher.
Yes.
And it can be frustrating to be a child too.
Yes.
It's hard today to always do what's right and not get angry with your child. And I always said to teachers and to parents, when you're very upset with your child, don't walk towards your child. Walk away.
Yes.
Back away. Because it's very confrontational when you walk towards someone when you're not happy with them or when you're angry with them. It's very, and we don't realize it. So back away and calm yourself down before you say whatever it is that you want to say, so you say the right thing. Hey, very easy to say to do that. It's not so easy to actually do it. I get that. I know that.
Very powerful, Lois. And you spoke to something that's paramount with my mentoring, is that we all have a different emotional makeup. Yes. And one of the things in parenting that I had to learn the hard way is that you can't parent each of your children the same way, because they have different emotional makeups. Their persona, their personalities, they're different. Most times they're night and day, as my sister and I was. So, I mean, I was always a very sensitive child, and my sister was headstrong. So, you have to educate, guide to that child contingent upon their emotional persona. And then you relate to them according to that. Would you agree with that?
Yes, there is no one size fits all.
Yes.
With anything with children, again, dealing with children, it is not black and white. It's always gray. It's always gray.
Yes.
And sometimes you have to give a little. And it's okay to say to your child, I made a mistake. I made a mistake, because that's how your child learns to say, I made a mistake.
Now that's pretty deep, because one of the things I tell my girls all the time, your parents are your parents and you love them unconditionally. Yet your parents, me, myself, and I, none of us are perfect.
Right.
We're always in the learning process. So bear in mind that parents are adults. Adults make mistakes too. So be loving and lenient with your hard-nosed attitude, as some of them have towards your parents. Makes a big difference. Let me ask you this. What's one of the secrets that you could share with us now with all of this 35 plus years of teaching and being involved with children and all of the networking and net friending that you're doing? What is a secret that you can share with parents about the best way? You've given us lots of food for thought here tonight, but what's something that's really magical that they can walk away with tonight?
I have to go back. Well, certainly, you said it a little while ago. I think unconditional love is very important because sometimes our children can frustrate us and our students can frustrate us. But when they know that you have their back, so to
Yes.
speak, they'll confide in you. They'll be willing to be honest with you. And it's okay to say, I need to know the truth. There's going to be a consequence with this truth, but you need to tell me the truth because I love you and I'm going to support you. But you always have to tell me what really happened. And we'll go through this together. You know, it's no different than dealing with adults. When I was a superintendent of schools, I used to say to my principals, we all make mistakes, we all make errors. I just don't want any surprises. Don't give me any surprises. So if there's a problem, pick up the phone and call me. I will always have your back. I will always support you, and we will get through this together. My administrative staff, and I hope my teachers, knew that about me.
Great.
That we will get through whatever adversity there is together as a team, as a unit. And when you're dealing with parents and children, we will get through it as a family, as a unit, because we have unconditional love.
I love that. I love that because one of the things that I realize now at this wonderful stage in my life, and I know from yours too, because we talked briefly, family and community and extended family and connecting and building relationships, good, healthy, hearty relationships, it's everything. And that's why the intimacy and the connecting that our younger generation is somehow missing. It's up to you, myself, and others to be a lighthouse for them, a guiding light, to let them know that the art and the intimacy of building relationships, we can't lose that. And there's a way that we can still have technology and embrace it and yet do more of this connecting. That's one of the things, Lois, about this Be Live live streaming that's fascinating because it was designed to be an interactive live streaming broadcasting format. For me and for many of us, it's still like a new beginning, but as it begins to progress and grow, more and more people will come on and begin to express themselves and all of that. And that's a good thing. So I applaud you for what you're doing because for me, at some point, I don't know when the awakening came, it became quite obvious and clear to me that community and family, extended family is everything. So I really am more than in your camp with what you're doing. Tell us a little bit about what you're planning for the future. I heard you mention you're thinking about writing the book for Don't Be That Kid for Adult. Is there anything else that you have on the drawing board for the next in the next few months, years? What's the plan?
Definitely. Certainly my Don't Be That Kid at Home is going to be coming out. That'll come out probably in the next month or so. It's at the publisher now, so that will be coming out. Great. And I started going into schools and providing behavior presentations, and I separated them into grades K1, 2, 3, and 4, 5. And that has been very rewarding for me and the students and the teachers. In K1, we talk about feelings, and we talk about what it means to exclude others and how it makes us feel. In grades 2 and 3, we talk about listening, how to be a good listener, and how to be a proper friend by listening to our friends. And then in 4th and 5th grade, we talk about being the leadership of our school. because by the time you get to 5th grade, you're the leaders. And we talk, I have an activity I do called, How Would You Like to Be Remembered? Think about high school and middle school and the students you went to school with and how you remember them. I think you really need to do a little self-reflection as a child and say, how do I want to be remembered? What could I do to be a better person? How could I make today a better day? So that's something I'm doing. I'm starting to provide parent workshops to parents on value education and teaching values to our children, which has also been terrific. And I've been doing teacher training. So I'm out there now, which is not something I thought I was going to do. So I'm back out there and I'm thrilled with it.
You see, there are no accidents in life, my friend, and that's why we connected. Where are you doing the parenting classes? In the schools or at some after school? Where?
Right now, it's connected to some community organizations.
Wonderful.
Yes, and we can talk
more about this at another point, because that's where I realized that all of us have to begin with the parenting. Because for a while there, with my not knowing, and until I had my awakening, every little thing that I saw, Lois, I would say, oh, the kids, but it's not the kids. They didn't get my favorite expression is they didn't get the proper upbringing. They didn't get the skills and the tools that they need. So where do we begin to get them for them to share and to give with exactly what you're doing? Bravo for you.
Well,
I think that's terrific.
Thank you.
I don't know where the time goes, but it just flies. Let me ask you, what did I not ask you that you would want me to ask you? And what do you want to share with us that maybe you haven't thus far?
I think 2 things.
Good.
Professionally, I'd like to say to anyone who is starting out or is even mid-career, it's very important to have a mentor or to have mentors. If I had to give the one reason I believe I was successful professionally, it was because I was very fortunate to always have people who were willing to mentor me. So you have to be open to be mentored, and then you have to strive to be a mentor yourself. So I think that is critical throughout your professional career, whatever stage that you're in, whether you're mentoring someone yourself or you need to be mentored. So that's one thing that I would really like to put forth today.
Bravo. I get so excited when I hear things that just go to the marrow of my bones. And as soon as you said that, that's why I like the blending of the old with the new. I think it's up to every adult to turn around, continue on, but give back.
Absolutely.
Look back, get 1, 2, a group, however you want to do it, whatever fits your DNA, and do exactly what you said. Yes, indeed, my friend, there are no accidents in life. We're not sharing the space and time by accident. I really think that's great. That, I don't know if you could top that. What's the second thing?
The second thing is, on my website, I have something that I think parents and teachers can use. And it's a Don't Be That Kid pledge.
Wonderful.
And they can go on my website at www.don'tbethatkid.net and click on the pledge and download it. For parents, when you're talking to your child about self-reflection and how do you think you did today and how do you think the year is going, you can fill that out and help your child fill that out, or he or she can do it themselves, depending on how their age group. And teachers, certainly, within the first 3 days of school, I would fill that pledge out, and I would be saying, what do you pledge to do this year to become a better person and become a better student? And, it's July, and school in Florida, at least, will be beginning shortly. And before you know it, all over the nation, it'll be beginning. Reading Don't Be That Kid at school before school begins, going over the scenes, discussing the scenes and the implications, and saying, what is the kid doing? What is everyone else doing? What should you be doing as you're reading the book? Taking the pledge before school. Let's make some decisions. it's like a little strategic plan. You're having your child learn how to plan. And what kind of person do you want to be this year? So by all means, download that and use it.
Well, I think both of those are the best. So what I'm going to do, I'm getting a feedback here. I don't know if I think that's you or me. It comes and it goes. All of your links, your Facebook link, your LinkedIn link, the website, and the pledge download, all of that will be put here so that those who come after the fact or now will be able to click on that and go there and download that pledge. I think that's great. I have a pledge on my Leading Ladies, Leaving Legacies, Living Legacies too. And I don't know if you joined the group, but I'm inviting you to join because you need to be there. We're going to be doing some phenomenal things over time. Lois, I get excited. There's a big kid in me. It's not little anymore. And when I see women who are way beyond themselves, who are working to be important and instill certain values and skills and help others to develop theirs, I get excited because those are the type of women I want to be associated with. I'm so delighted that you were patient, that you took the time to come and spend with us. And I can only say that after this is over, everything that we talked about, all the links that I have here will go up. And then as soon as it's ready, I will send it to you and you can do whatever you want to with it. Did you have any questions for about anything else other than what we've discussed here? Your Don't Be That Kid at School and the forthcoming book and the mentoring that you're doing with parents. I just said, absolutely phenomenal. I just think it's beyond fantastic.
Inviting me. It was great meeting you when we did at the luncheon, at a powerhouse luncheon. And I thank you for thinking of me and inviting me. And anyone who wants to contact me in any way for any reason, on my website, it has contact. Just press it, fill it out. I will get in touch with you.
Absolutely. And all of that data that you gave me will go on the website. And I would say max 24 to 48 hours, I will get you the link. You can go and view this 2 seconds after we're off. But for now, until you get the link, you can just hold tight. I'm going to say goodbye so long for now. And thank you.
My pleasure.
Beyond a pleasure. Things happen. I'm very karmic in a sense. Some people buy into it, some people don't. I don't like the expression I don't care because it matters, but not as much as maybe one would like for it to. So I'm happy that you stayed the course and you hung in there. I think that when you get a chance to look at this, you're going to applaud yourself. And until we connect, I'm going to put you just to the side for now. Don't leave. I'll come to say goodbye in just a second. All righty?
Sounds great. Thanks. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. And thank you, the listening audience. Whether it's 0 or 1 or 100, we're happy that you show up. Tonight, technology, my being a novice and loving it, you never know. Lois McGuire being a trooper beyond trooper, hung in there. We redid what we had to do and we came on. So maybe the people who were scheduled to be here, because some people don't like the word busy. I think people are busy. Busy. You make the time for the things that are paramount for you at the time. But people have schedules and they have to stick to them. So whether you're watching the replay, which most of you will be doing, I say thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Please, all of Lois's information and her links will go up. Get in touch with her. Because whether you're a parent, young, or at it for a while, or you want to get involved with mentoring and helping kids at school and young parents, do touch base with her because my mindset is right aligned with hers. And we're looking for women who are agents of change and who are purpose-driven, as she is, Lois McGuire. And then in turn, let's connect. It's all about connecting and building this extended family. So thank you for being here. If you're watching the replay, don't forget to click replay so that we'll know that you were here. And do leave us your comments. We love reading them, and we look forward to seeing you again. Have a great week, a great weekend, and until next Tuesday night at 7 o'clock, same station, same time, all the best, my friends. Bye-bye for now. Thanks again. Cheers.